Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Reviews. I'm sitting here because I thought this is way better for 5 games I have played. I'm probably going to do parts now because I'm doing part 5 today, 4, sorry, today, but I can see part 5 is basically already ready. I have a little document here. Anyways, today I'm doing quiz games. It's all quiz games and I'm going to talk about it. I have some of them down here. I'm not going to do reviews on them because I'm not going to even do it. This is my way of talking about games that are below average. But I must say, I might have reconsidered on 1 or 2 of these ones. Anyways, I'll start off with Trivial Pursuit. So if you don't know Trivial Pursuit, you have a little ring of a bunch of colors, and some of them are grey with the roll again. But basically you start in the middle, you roll the dice, whatever it lands on, you move, and then you answer a question there. If you answer correctly, you can roll again. If you are on the very large spaces, you get to answer a question and get a cheese, as we always call it, a little stud into your movement brick. And when you have that completely filled out with 6 cheeses, or is it just 5? I think it's just 5. You can then go into the middle, roll into the middle, answer a question of any, and then you've won. Yeah, I hate this very much in particular. Like the other ones, I'm gonna rank a little bit higher than this one, but this one in particular I hate because you're rolling to get around, and that's the worst of the quiz games, is when you get that in. Quiz games should be all about what your knowledge is, but this is just all about what you roll, right? Like there is 5 categories, of course. Some of them you're not good at, some of them you aren't. But getting to the cheese blocks, I've seen some guys okay, I just need a 4 and it's a 5, and I need a 1 and that's a 2. Right, constantly going back and forth, trying to land on it. Like I saw a guy, he needed just 1 cheese, just constantly moving back and forth. The other guy caught up to him. Had that last question, and then to end it all, we just said, okay, if you answer this one correctly, you win. Then we give him a question. If he answers correctly, he wins. Just to end it, he answered correctly. That was purely lucky, and then he got a question he could answer correctly. Pure luck. That I hate. It's not about your knowledge, it's just about where you roll and then where you land to get the cheeses. Because you're going to answer all the questions correctly, but if you don't land on the cheese spots, you're not going to get it, you're not going to win. Absolutely terrible. 1 out of 10. I hate that. Yes, we have it right here. Trivial Pursuit family. It's not the one we're playing normally. At the other place, we haven't really played that one, but it's shit. It's just different questions. I don't think, is that not a... Yeah, it's a Trivial Pursuit Disney. I might actually want to play that just because of the questions, but otherwise, no thank you. What's a little bit better is a game we found and placed in a game cafe called 5 Seconds, or 5 Second Rule, I think it might be called in English rather than in, of course, Danish. Basically, you again, I believe you roll a dice, you move forward, and then you get the question read up to you. The thing flips around, and you're you get the questions. The thing flips over. You have 5 seconds to answer. It could be name 3 capitals in Europe. 5 seconds. Go 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 go. I think it's usually 3 or 4 things you need to mention, right? And you go answer Oslo, Stockholm, Copenhagen. Yes, you get to move forward a space. Not dice. That's no dice. Yes. Woo. If you answer incorrectly, the next person gets 5 seconds, answer the came on. He can't answer the same. So if I go Oslo, Stockholm, dang it. The next person can't say Oslo and Stockholm. They have to say 3 different ones. Then it goes around. Whoever answers correctly gets to move forward. I believe it's 1 space if it's not your turn, 2 spaces if it's your turn. Then there's some spaces where you land, and if you don't answer correctly, you get skipped for the next turn. You get punished for knowing 1 answer incorrectly. The dude, he landed there and then he was stuck there for a turn. He was way ahead of us other because he just could answer. So his knowledge came at a disadvantage because of the 1 thing he didn't know. And again, that's stupid. Honestly, these quiz games should just be about knowledge. And this one's a little bit more about knowledge, but then you have the punishment. Hate that. It gets a 2 out of 10 also because there is no lining for the questions. It's just all about different things, and it's so stupid, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, almost. So it's a 2 out of 10 for me on that one. And another one that's 2 out of 10 is Specificism. You're moving around on a board. This time knowledge comes into play. You get 4 random things thrown up. Could be sport, language, geography and history. Right? You draw those 4 up, put them in a row. The first one, if you're in it correctly, you move 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. And you have one swap button to show around your opponents, and you have a better is a B. If you put that on, and the person that are answering a question can answer, but you get to move forward 1 space if you heard the question first, 3 spaces if you didn't hear the question first. So it's a little bit of luck, almost. Push your luck, almost. Again, I like a little bit better Trivial Pursuit because it's not so random, but it's still very random. You can just draw up random things. Why can't you make a game that's about one thing and only one thing? Best Wizard gets a 2 out of 10. It's about questions, but then it comes and take that elements, right? If you answer one question incorrectly, your opponent answers correctly, and you're in the last little bit of the stretch, your opponent can knock you back 3 spaces. You can lose because of that. Right, because we lost on one time. We couldn't mention Tim Burton, which is freaking annoying to this day. The opponent then answered Tim Burton and knocked us back, answered their question correctly, moved over in 1. We had they moved over in 1 across 2 rounds, right? We were 1 ahead, had them shooting to win, got knocked back to being 2 behind, and fucked. And that's terrible when a game can just do that when it's a quiz game, right? I don't care about Uno, you've got, +2, whatever. Uno's more fun because it's just playing a bunch of cards. This is a quiz game where you're trying to use your knowledge and being the best, the smartest person. And we were almost a smart person, but then they got ahead of us. Annoying. So 2 out of 10. Linky. That's another one we have right here. Actually, This is here as well. And Linky is right here. And basically, Linky, you get read something where there's 4 questions on it. And they all the answers to those questions are hints toward the overall thing, right? And the annoying part about Linky is the fact that those 4 questions can be very different from one another, right? Which island does this bridge go to? What is the 5th element in our freaking table of elements? I can't remember what that's called because I don't give a shit. In what year was the queen born? Right? Completely different things to answer a completely different thing. You can answer with only 2. Like I have been there where I answered with only 2 questions, and which was good enough depending on the hints. I guess it's fun because again, because this one is actually knowledge. Like more knowledge, you're gonna win. But it's a little bit annoying also in the fact because you are all competing. One person's reading up, you're all competing to try and answer. And the another thing is if someone can think of the question faster than you, or just says Linky faster than you, because that's how you get the letters. Then you spell out Linky and then you won. But if you can just do that, right? If you can go ahead and think just 2 seconds faster than you, then they win. And that's the problem I have generally in quiz games, is I think of the questions a little bit later than most people, right? And like I had one where we got a question, we were doing team ones, and my teammate looked at me like, I was like, oh, alright, yeah, that's the question, because I need to think just 2 seconds more. And Linky punishes you for that, obviously, but then like I know the answer, but I'm just not fast enough. And that is bad punishment, right? If you know the answer, you know the answer. There's nothing about being the fastest or something, right? If you know the answer, you know the answer. This is just punishing you for having to think 2 seconds more, because you have more knowledge. You need to find the correct one. I've given it a 3 out of 10 because it is a little bit faster, and it is about knowledge. It's all about knowledge and being the fastest. I hate the fact that you keep having to be the fastest. But it's a little bit better. It's all about knowledge of these other ones. It's a little bit about luck and what you draw, and this is just purely about knowledge. And the final one, which I have written a 4 out of 10, I'm gonna downgrade it to 3 out of 10 because it's still just a fucking quiz game, is Logo Quiz, which we have down here. And I would probably prefer to play this one. First of all, it's all about knowing something about companies. So it has an overarching theme, right? The problem with Linky Business 5 Seconds Trivial Pursuit is there's not one theme, there's 15. 5 or 6 or 7, many different ones. This one is all about different companies. Sure, some companies you know more about, some you don't. But it's all about companies and knowing something and knowing some history, which is way better, I think. Because you know what you're getting into. Okay, I gotta try and answer about some companies. Some I know, some I don't. We can learn something interesting here. So that way I think it's way better than the other ones because you know what you're getting into. And also, when you draw up something, you know what it's going to be about. Something I have in Trivial Pursuit is some of their freaking questionnaires, themes, things. you don't know exactly what it's going about, right? Sport and spare time, basically, you know, free time. You see in the same one, and then it's like, what is an important ingredient in a carrot cake, and who won the World Cup in 1934, right? Those two could be in that one. Those two do not belong in the same category. That's the fucking word for category, right? But they are in the same category, and Best of Business does this a little bit better by, you know, having more categories, but still. But logo is like, you draw it up, and then the logo is KFC. These are questions about KFC, fun facts about KFC. How many can you answer? Then you answer, try and answer correctly. If you answer correctly, you move forward an amount of spaces. And then it's all about having some knowledge about this one. It's still just a freaking quiz game. There's absolutely nothing to it. It's incredibly boring, and you're just sitting there like, come on. Usually we shuffle through and remove the companies we don't know jack shit about. But yeah, still a quiz game. I will always rank quiz games low, because it's about knowledge in niche points, and if you're playing with old autistic fucks who know everything from the last 100 years, you're doomed. Guess who wants to play quiz games all the time? By the way, that's not a dig against autistic people. I'm autistic myself. They just, like, they know everything all at once. And guess who wants to play? That's not fun. It's funny to play quiz games against people who are on the same level as you, maybe just in different areas, right? So you can sit there, like, when we play with the other guy who knows way more than me, but I at least know sport. So when it comes to a sport question, I can just look at him like, I know the answer. I freaking know the answer. I know exactly what the answer is there. And he just completely blank. But that's not a lot. That's only the thing, right? And so if you can play with people who are at the same intellectual level as you, you're gonna have a fun time with the quiz game. If you play against two people who are just way above you in overall intellectual level and even thinking speed to get to the right answer, well, Linky, no way. Besserwisser, get lost. 5 seconds, fuck off. Trivial Pursuit, I can be lucky. But at least you have logo game, which is all about knowledge. And then it's like, I'm gonna lose. But at least there isn't a timer or opponents that can think of a little bit faster than you. So, is it obvious that my camera ran out of power, so I had to recharge it before I did the final part of this one? It might be. But a funny thing I noticed really quick was, this is officially part 4 that I'm recording now. But I do have 2 more parts already ready, because I had noted down part 1 and 2. I apparently deleted them. So part 5 and 6 I've already written down the games here. So, but I'm gonna do a little bit of space between them, have them come over across a longer period of time, because these are nice to have because they're easy enough to record. But basically those are quiz games. Overall, I rank quiz games very low because it's so many things can happen that just make it a very bad experience. Obviously, that can happen for a lot of games, but for quiz games, there's just so many things that are all about the people you're playing with, the situation you're playing in. All of this can just bring it way the frick down. Obviously, I don't know, Century, Spice Road, which I rank lowly, but there's like there's few things that needs to happen before it's not fun, for you not have a fun time. One thing is that you play a bad game, and then but anyways. Thank you very much for watching part 4. 5 games I've played. 2 more on the way already. No, that'll be a little while, but thank you very much for watching. Until next time. Bye!